today we are going to be talking about this awesome gem, this masterpiece of a movie caught on VHS. This is Series 7, The Contenders.
Look out!
The worldwide phenomenon of reality-based programming is growing each day.
Is Jeff ready to face the future?
Who's this woman to you?
Alone?
Writer-director Daniel Minahan's debut feature, a savage satire,
As the competition mounts,
pushes it to the extreme, depicting the highest-rated program on television
Get out here and fight like a man!
as selecting people at random to kill one another until a lone champion survives.
let the games begin.
Cody, how would you describe this movie?
Basically, it's a reality show. People kill each other. I honestly don't know how I would describe it further than that. But it's the gist of the show. I mean, a lot of the show is just the gag. A lot of the show is the gag that it's a reality TV show. So again, the gist of the show is a reality TV show where they randomly select, I forgot how many people, I think it's 5 people or 6 people, and they are being told that, or not being told, they're dropped in a random city in America, all in the same place, they're given a gun, and their rules are to just kill each other. The last person standing is the winner. One of the funniest elements of the whole thing is that you don't actually win anything. All you win is you don't die, and I think the only intro to that is at the very beginning of the film. They're introducing our main character, who's Dawn Lagarto. It was a pregnant woman, and they introduce her walking into a liquor store and shooting a man in the back. That's one of the funniest things to me is, there's no prize, really. They don't flesh out too much of the world.
Yeah, that was I only had a couple of questions on the movie, and I guess now that we're already diving into the details of the film, we kind of just skipped the summary of the film, but basically,
well, the summary is the plot. That's the movie. That's the show. And I guess the only thing is they frame it as the framing of the movie is it's kind of like you're watching a series wrap-up clip show.
You are watching The Contenders, Series 7 Marathon.
The one thing I thought it was missing along those lines was like some Paul Verhoeven-esque fake commercials. You know what I mean? I thought that really would have sold it a little bit better. It was missing that a little bit. It just had the sweeps in and out. It was almost like if you were watching something on Netflix. Yeah. Long before Netflix existed. But like when you watch something on Netflix or streaming where it has the fades, like there's going to be a commercial, but there's just no commercial. It just fades to black and fades back in. But like we're talking about, there's that. I love that little bit at the beginning. It's just like a reality TV show where they're introducing the city.
This week's program will be played within the city limits of Newbury in southwestern Connecticut, the Nutmeg State. Newbury was incorporated in 1702 with a population of 65,585 and has a total area of 44 square miles.
Well, I think it was Roger Ebert described it when he did a review of it, which I always love how Roger Ebert would just review this movie. Like it barely made any money. I think it made $26,000 like opening weekend. It wasn't like a big movie. I don't know why how it would even get to anyone reviewing it back then, but it did actually. If you look at not IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's like a fresh movie. It actually got pretty decent reviews always when it came out. I think just it's one of those movies where the tone and subject matter of it. There's a scene in this movie where a 18-year-old girl is beaten to death with a cane.
A crutch,
in front of her family, like tragically.
You can't say it's tragic, though, because in an earlier scene, they were completely cheering her on as though they were those crazy parents on the side of a soccer field on a Saturday morning.
Keep your head down, baby! Let's go! Go ahead! Good girl! Good! Look out! He's gonna aim for you, babe! Take cover, baby! Stay down!
Ironically enough, when you look at all the characters, the 19-year-old girl character gets the most savage death of all. No one else. Yeah. Like the old man who kills her just gets shot and goes, and falls over. I guess. Do you want to get into who the characters were? Because that's interesting.
Yeah.
Too,
well,
who
first,
the actual characters were in the movie.
We'll go into the characters, but
her being pregnant too is weird to me. I don't know why she's pregnant.
I think, it was so that she could give birth in that one very awkward scene where the nurse that she had gone to go kill.
Jesus, just pull it out of me!
Well, because it enriches the character. Like if you ever read Save the Cat by Blake Schneider, he says you always need a pirate with a limp. So give all your characters a limp. So that was her limp.
8 months pregnant is a weird one.
Okay, well, yeah, but that's what you remember. This crazy pregnant lady with a gun. You know what I'm saying? It enriches the character. But anyway,
it doesn't like a
the only hiccup that I had I had a character hiccup. I didn't understand who the first guy with the mask is that was going in and giving the guns to the characters when they were selected.
Special operatives of the Contenders.
I feel like he should have been fleshed out a little bit more, or else maybe he was fleshed out elsewhere and that hit the cutting room floor. And then also, I didn't really quite understand the premise in the sense that, okay, I get that the #1 TV show is a reality show where people are literally just going out and killing each other, and that, you know, these 7 or 8 people are selected at random in a lottery, and they can't escape city limits, and they have to fight, okay, because their flight isn't an option. But imposed upon what authority? In this movie, there was never any kind of imposing authority that was referenced. So you really kind of wonder, is this just now part of like, is this social contract theory gone wrong? Where basically if we all think that, you know, we've pushed reality TV to its limits, where bigger, badder, bolder, faster, more intense, and more primal is what we're looking for, it doesn't get more primal than people literally having to shoot each other for attention on TV. Then, you know, is this where reality TV is headed? I get the social commentary, but since it lacked the imposing authority, I had that question mark the whole time. You know, like, who's really keeping them from escaping? Is it the producers of the TV show?
They show
Is it the
that.
police? I mean, the guy that ended up trying to escape with this hostage kid got pulled out by a bunch of people in jackets that looked like they could have been from the DEA, but it didn't say police on it, if I remember correctly. And it didn't say anything in it. So it's like, who's imposing this? Now, I'm probably thinking way too far into it, and I didn't really worry about it
They
that much.
definitely
But
didn't flesh out at all the real, like, the world's only told through the movie, like, just through people doing stuff. You can kind of see some. For example, there's a scene where we'll have to get the character out, but there's a scene where they try to go to a mall, right? And they have a metal detector at the mall for some reason.
Yeah.
I've never had that, and they I guess some malls do, but they're pretty rare. Anyway,
Okay, I'm a contender.
they wave down the gun on one of the characters. I think it's the young girl, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm one of the contenders." And like, "Oh, okay, fine, you can go on with your gun."
Yeah.
Like there is
Ooh,
some
you're a contender.
but there's some understanding. There's also a bit at the end when they go to the theater where there's like it's a popular show. People like the show. Like they establish that it's a known thing, but
it almost seemed voluntary. That there was not voluntary, but in the sense of like, okay, I know I have to, but I feel honored simultaneously. You know, like, I'm one of the special people.
remember
now.
the young girl was she already had weapons purchased in case she was.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those movies where the concept is there's a reality show, people kill each other. Anything beyond that's like.
Yeah, we're thinking way too much.
We have to get into the characters now. I've been talking for too long. So anyway,
Yeah, I was about to say,
let's
jump into the characters.
So then just characters. So the first character we went over already is Dawn Legardo. Dawn Legardo was the winner of the previous season. She's 8 months pregnant. That's basically her character. She's a mean killer who's pregnant. There's not a whole lot more to her. The weird thing is when they go back to this Newbury,
Disheveled.
Connecticut,
Yeah.
it's her old hometown for... I guess I get the reason because she knows one of the other characters. They went to high school. She like robs her family for her sister's car.
Just give me the keys, Laura.
That was kind of weird. The next character,
When she asked the sister's family to take the baby.
well, no, before
Yeah.
that.
Also, Lagarto, I just remembered, Lagarto I'm pretty sure is Italian for lizard. So I don't know if they're trying to get symbolic with that. I think it's lizard or crocodile, if I'm not mistaken. Because Lagarto in Spanish.
They're actually that name is actually the name of a real person the director knew, and he wanted to base the character on her. So
Oh,
he gave
okay,
the name
cool. Rock
director.
on.
Actually, I think in the credits it says like special thanks to Don Legardo in the film because like
Okay, rock
just
on.
a friend of his. Then move on. There's Connie Chabuco, who is the 57-year-old emergency room nurse.
She was a savage.
Really interesting character. Well, what's weird is they set up her character at the very beginning when they're doing it. This is some of the best parts of the movie when they're doing the little intro sweeps because it's just like little packages you'd see in a reality TV show.
Oh,
at the time.
yeah.
I mean, he actually originally, the director, tried to hire reality TV crews to shoot it. But at the time, reality TV, I guess, was kind of picking up, and they were all busy. They couldn't afford them, so he had to hire people to film in that van. Anyway, they set up her in the beginning that she'd killed before already. That was kind of weird. Then you have Jeffrey Norman, who's perhaps the most tragic character. He's the one. So he's the one who previously in high school had dated the Dawn, the pregnant character. That's their connection, and that's basically once they get done with the gags of the reality show, they just move on to that.
Yeah,
They're
that
just like,
comes out in the third act.
that's just that's the movie now. I was really dumb. But what's hilarious is he's dying of testicular cancer.
Yeah.
And when they first show up, when they first show up to introduce like all these characters, the producers go to their house and they give them a gun and say, okay,
Yeah.
here you go. So when they first show up, they give him the gun. The first thing he does is put the gun to his head and tries to pull the trigger. And I guess like this guy tries to kill himself, I think 3 times over the course of the film.
Yeah.
Spoilers, never dies. Even when you think he's dead, he doesn't die. And there's even a line. He's like, oh, well, I'm just here now. Like, I tried to kill myself and they brought me back. I'm just here. He's by far the most tragic character of all of them. And I guess they don't mention him because his wife isn't officially a competitor, but his wife's a big character in the, and she comes back big time in the ending as well, depending on the ending you watch. Then you move on to one of the weirder characters in the movie. I think Tony Riley. I feel like they edited his scenes in really weird order. They described as a 39-year-old married, unemployed asbestos remover. Really, all I think of him is the only characterization I remember of him is he does cocaine and kidnaps his child, who maybe isn't even his. He has a really weird argument with his wife. It's kind of like,
in which she kind of reveals that it's not even yours, and he's like, "What the hell does that mean?"
They're not your kids. You never adopted them.
And then just cuts away, and they never talk about it again. That wife character, I don't think ever comes back. Anyway, he has a weird end. I guess that character only exists to show us that you can't run from the show. He tries to kidnap his son and flee with a hostage.
It's very early in the movie.
They just throw him in a hospital, and he ends up getting killed by Connie, the old woman. But then there's also Franklin James, who is in the movie. That's about all I can tell you. He beats the last character, Lindsay Burns. She is 18. The 18-year-old. He beats her to death with his club. That's basically his character. Another thing that would have been interesting to get into, and by the way, it's an 89-minute movie. It's not like this is like a 3-hour bonanza. In the scene when the old man beats the Lindsay character to death with a cane, he says something like, he gets up and he says like, "Oh, I've known forever the show's fake. You guys should listen." And then he gets shot, and then they never really addressed that thread. I guess there's an alternate ending to the film, which actually doesn't feel like an alternate ending, and it feels kind of like they did this with the movie Clue with Tim Curry. In theaters, the movie has 5 different endings, and in theaters they would just pick a random ending you would get. But in the later home releases, they have all the endings shown sequentially, and they kind of say like what could happen and stuff like that, and it really makes the movie better. I feel like this movie needed both endings. Because we had the VHS copy of the film, and as far as I know, you cannot find online the alternate ending. I had to read a description, but basically when the film ends, and we'll come back and touch more on this later, but when the film ends, the Jeffrey Norman character who has cancer and the pregnant woman, they're the only ones surviving. They were lovers in high school before the Jeffrey character decided that he was gay.
Well, and they were lovers in high school with that awesome meme that you made, right?
No, not even that. Just we'll get in. That's a whole other thing. The one song they paid. Well, actually, the soundtrack is its own thing. The soundtrack in this film is really interesting. But just really quickly, at the very end of the film, they do a kind of weird thing where the two characters go into the Jeffrey character with cancer and the Dawn character that are pregnant. They go on the run. They run away from the show when everyone else is dead. Dawn, the pregnant woman, actually delivers her baby in the last 15 minutes of the movie, and they take the baby from her. So they say, if you don't get my baby back, we won't kill each other, I guess.
If you don't bring me my baby in half an hour, a lot of innocent people are going to get hurt here tonight. That means you.
Anyway, take a bunch of hostages in a movie theater. Then, in the regular theatrical release, I guess, the movie just the Dawn character abruptly leaves the film. And they cut to the narrator, who's actually played by Will Arnett.
Here it is.
It kind of shows you where Will Arnett was. The director said he went out of his way to cast nobodies, so you couldn't recognize anyone in the film. It kind of shows where Will Arnett was. But anyway, it's really fascinating. The last 15 minutes of the movie, or not, maybe 5 minutes of the movie, are a reenactment. So the Dawn and Jeff characters played by different actor and actress for the last 5 minutes of the movie. So the real ending is Jeff's wife comes and shoots Dawn. Yeah.
Well, it sounds cheesy when we're talking about it, but it actually worked.
But my only point was there's an alternate ending, which in the canon of the film, the alternate ending of the film is the actual footage of Dawn and Jeff that they say got destroyed. They leave the theater, Dawn and Jeff, and they try to put their guns away and leave without killing anyone. Yeah. And eventually an angry mob forms around them and chases them down and starts beating them. And then has the same ending with Jeff waking up in the hospital.
So plot holes, you're mentioning a couple of, I don't want to say plot holes, but the movie comes at you so quickly that you don't even have time to think about some of those holes and those loose ends. And usually that's a jarring experience. We've all watched bad movies that are kind of just thrown together and you're thinking, what on earth is happening? We've all literally been drugged to our friends' student films. You know what I'm saying? Where they're super proud of the script and they're convinced the cinematography is awesome and they got like a $40,000 student loan to make this movie, but it actually sucks, is very disjointed and kind of leaves you wondering what the heck just happened. We've all been through that experience, and that is not Series 7 The Contenders. There's definitely loose ends that don't get tied up, but in its mockery of reality TV, and the jarring experience that reality TV can be, it throws so much at you, but it actually does it with finesse. So much so that you're not thinking about some of these loose ends until after the movie's over.
Well, it reminds me of kind of like, I think a good way to describe it almost, not literally this, but you know, like when you see a movie and they maybe want to use like in the movie something shot in old VHS or whatever, and they just put a crappy filter on it and it's like obvious, like, no, it doesn't look real at all. The little bits, like I said, the kind of like the little packages with the different characters talking to the camera, the way like there's like when it goes to commercial, it'll show like what's his name, the Tony character kind of playing with his kids in the lawn, and it's like a weird blue shade on it, and it's kind of like slow motion as it fades to commercial, and it's like, yeah, that's what reality TV look like. I agree. The movie's really fun and it's really good when it's being a really true to life satirical spoof of like it's basically, imagine a reality TV show, people killed each other. That's basically like, that's when the movie's good. When that has to be a movie and things have to like a plot has to happen, everything is just kind of like, oh, I mean, we'll get into the next part. So a big massive hinging point of the entire film, the whole third act of the movie, I guess, is the relationship between the Dawn and the Jeff character. And their whole relationship largely hinges around this super cringy Love Will Tear Us Apart video they made in high school, which plays like in its entirety. I love to, it's like they actually licensed Love Will Tear Us Apart by the Joy Division. They licensed the song. They play it for you 4 or 5, not entirely, but they play the song over and over again. We paid for this song, and they have this really awful, weird, goth, cringy. It's hilarious in the movie. It's one of the funniest parts of the whole film. I love when they're introducing it. I guess we'll probably just play it when they're introducing it, but he's just like, they were social outcasts who did drugs. And it's just...
No.
Will Arnett, by the way, is the one saying it, which I think makes it really funny.
Yeah, I just remember them saying, like, they wore exotic clothing to school on Fridays. No, they wore costume to schools on Fridays, and they experimented with drugs.
Jeff were outsiders in their high school. Jeff listened to punk rock music, and Don was known as a pothead. They dressed up in wild costumes on Fridays and wore them to school. They enjoyed being provocative and confrontational. They experimented with drugs.
Yeah, but then also, just really quickly with the soundtrack, really interesting for a movie like this, too. There's a band called Girls Against Boys that did like the whole sound. They got a couple original songs for the film, I think. They do all like the rock and roll scoring throughout the film.
Yeah.
I feel like a movie like this could have almost had except for Love Will Tear Us Apart, which was like an integral plot point. It could almost have had just any kind of random ambiance, generic filler music from. It's interesting, and like they released this. You can like buy the CD. Like they released like, hey, we made a CD for this movie that barely got a big release and not that many people saw. I don't know. It's really weird to me that they did that. Also, it's interesting for a movie like this because it's weird. When it came out, it was, oh yeah, this is a fun independent movie that just came out. It's kind of like like Battle Royale and The Running Man and stuff like that. People were talking about some other films too, but never very short DVD print, and then never moved the Blu-ray, which is like, it's just weird to me to think that there's movies from like 2000 and 2001 that still are not on Blu-ray yet. It's kind of like how how basically everything was on DVD.
Yeah, the other
almost
thing that
everything made it there. Not literally, but a lot made it from VHS. It's crazy how few movies have made the jump from DVD to Blu-ray when you really look at it. Like, I think if you look at like the library, if you look, it's like, there's this many movies on VHS and this many on DVD and like this many moved to Blu-ray. It really is weird.
I'm questioning. Well, first two things. It does surprise me there's not a Blu-ray version unless it wasn't filmed in HD. Because in 2001, most of the low-budget stuff was either filmed, the budgets went primarily to film stock, okay, and people were still filming on film stock, or it was filmed on digital cameras that, oh my gosh, I remember the first HD camera coming out that was relatively accessible in price when I was in college, 2005, 2006.
Well, that is
before that, there was Canon GL2s. There was a bunch of other cameras that
Well, it was shot to look like a cheap reality show. Remember, keep on
But they
do a
could have done
really good job of
16
selling it.
millimeter. Yeah, we're gonna.
Maybe, but it was shot to look like. I guess it's a good point. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Just the idea that Will Arnett was in it. I guess we'll get into this. The thing I thought was fascinating about the movie, just like from the production end of it, and the fact that it's kind of because again, I didn't like dig this movie out of some like Goodwill parking lot.
Yeah.
Like I watched it for the first time when I was, I don't know, a teenager. It just came on like Showtime one night or Stars one night. So one of the premium movie channels just on. Like they ran it a couple nights a week, and that was it. It kind of went away. It wasn't this like forgotten thing. And it's just weird to see that it's kind of not been dug up, especially because the cast. We talked about some of the characters. The Lindsey Burns character, the 18-year-old student character, it's really fascinating. I didn't watch the show, so I didn't know. That actress actually went on to have a pretty big role on Nurse Jackie, and she actually won an Emmy, I found out, for Nurse Jackie. And then she was in Marriage Story. So it's one thing is while the director definitely picked actors that were not that well known, all of them working actors. I believe the old man who they cut almost all of his speaking lines out of the film. It was his last role he ever had in his career. He had like 50 movies he was in. And the other interesting one was the Dawn Legardo, the main character. She actually reappeared recently in Interstellar. So all of them just kind of like regular kind of working actors, a lot of TV roles.
Yeah.
The acting isn't great to say that. I just think it's kind of funny. A lot of these people have gone on to do a couple things here and there to kind of make their name where it's kind of like, oh, that's what they were doing back then. I mean, Will Arnett, because he narrates the film, and he just sounds like a generic reality TV narrator.
Yeah.
It is jarring because the whole movie, we've been with people, I mean, even if the woman who was in Nurse Jackie, was considerably skinnier when she was in this movie. It's really jarring. You don't really recognize anybody standing out as like actors or actresses you've seen in anything, and then all of a sudden Will Arnett just walks into frame. It's like, hold on, I know that guy. I don't know. I've never seen any of these people before. So that was it kind of goes both ways where the acting isn't great. Like I said, it's not. I can't think of very many scenes where I'm like, oh, that's pretty good acting there. It really, whenever the movie's not being held up by being a fake reality show, it does kind of start falling apart. There's the one scene I love at the end when she's on the phone and she has the movie theater hostage. And she says, if you guys don't give in to my commands, I'll start killing people. And they all start cheering.
They start cheering.
She turns out like, I'm talking about you guys. Like, that was kind of funny, but really there wasn't that many scenes where the acting was like there was, for example, the scene when the young woman gets beat to death with a claw. There isn't. The acting's really weird in it. Where it's like, I don't know. Am I supposed to be like, wow, this is really sad? Like that's supposed to be kind of a dark moment. Her parents are watching, and they just they don't look on even in terror, just kind of in like mild annoyance. They just kind of look on and like, oh no, why would?
Yeah.
Really weird. There's really bizarre stuff like that. I guess we talk a little bit about the. I guess you know what? I take it back. I did think the Dawn Legardo character was fun. There's the scene at the very beginning when she's when she first gets into Connecticut and she's driving around to all these people's homes.
Yeah.
And just calling him on the phone. And I love it.
To intimidate them.
She goes to the one lady's phone and she calls her. She's like, I put a bomb in your house. And she runs outside.
And it's going off in 5, 4,
and she runs
3.
out. I thought all that was really fun.
That was Connie, the nurse.
That ran out of the house.
That ran out of the house, yeah.
There's a lot of fun scenes. Like the scene when I guess we brought up when Dawn, the childbirth scene. The childbirth scene was like kind of, it was a bit much. I think... No, I don't think it would have worked if they did it. It didn't work to me. Basically, the pregnant woman chases the nurse character to her home. She's about to shoot the nurse character to death, but then her water breaks, so the nurse helps deliver her baby. All of a sudden, she's like, well, the baby's innocent, but it's like this, I don't know. I thought it was kind of a weird scene, and then they just kind of move on. Like, well, anyway, moving on.
Oh, I thought it was great.
I didn't love that, and I didn't necessarily love the scene. So we didn't talk about the Jeff character. The scene when he tries to kill himself by drinking like the sleeping pills or that whole segment was just weird. That character was kind of weird.
No, it showed the angst. He's an artist, man. The angst.
I take it back. My favorite scene in the movie is when they're talking about...
You took the words out of my mouth, by the way. I was going to ask you what your favorite
yeah,
scene is.
My favorite scene in the entire film is when they're introducing the Jeff character. The most tragic character. He had testicular cancer. I think they did surgery to remove his balls, and like it didn't work. He still has cancer.
So he lost his balls for nothing.
Yeah, he literally tries to kill himself multiple times. The movie ends, by the way, the theatrical version. His wife comes into the theater where they have the hostages. His wife shoots Dawn. He then takes the gun and shoots himself in the head, and then wakes up in a hospital in like the last 3 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
As the next season.
He's like, crap, I couldn't kill myself.
Yeah, he's like
the only guy that
man.
wanted to die
my favorite
couldn't
scene,
die.
though, is when they're introducing him, and his wife is talking about his awful, lame, stupid art. It's like, oh, he takes portraits of homes, and his work is it's challenging. And I love when they're describing like this absolute just like
Garbage.
They make him the most pathetic character.
People don't understand Jeff's landscapes. It's just that they're too confrontational. It's like he's holding up a mirror and he's saying, this is the truth about your life. You know, and a lot of people can't handle that.
Every time I've seen the movie, that scene makes me laugh. Where I'm
Yeah.
like, this guy's such a loser.
So-
I thought that was funny. I love that moment.
Okay, so you already got what your favorite part was. I agreed with you. My favorite part was actually when Dawn Lagarto is talking about her hostage threats and how if you guys don't give us what we want, and I think extradition to another country or something like that, people are going to start dying. And all of a sudden, everybody in the movie theater screams,
If you don't bring me my baby in half an hour, a lot of innocent people are going to get hurt here tonight. That means you, assholes!
and this is why I actually really liked Series 7, The Contenders, as a social commentary. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get crazy film school artsy here. All right. I had enough of that when I was an acting major in college. All right. But I will say some of these gems that come out, I don't know if the director and the writer actually wanted this to happen or if it just happened by happenstance and it ended up just being one of those happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. All right. Because after all, cinematography is painting with light. That's what the original Greek word of cinematography means. It's painting with light. So I don't know if this was a happy accident or was actually the intention of the director. If I ever meet him, David Minahan, or Minahan, I'm already botching his name. It's Minahan. So however you pronounce that, Daniel, I apologize. But if we ever meet Daniel, I would like to know if this is what he meant the movie to be in terms of a social commentary. How we're so in love with celebrity culture and reality TV that even though we know it's fake, the fact that it's on TV, we're excited to see it, even if it's our own demise and the threat of our own demise. You know, we're just excited to be on TV so much. We don't care if it's for our own demise that we're on television.
No, but I get why you're saying that. Remember, like you
Okay.
said, you just get randomly selected and forced into this. It's weird to me.
But
It's
the
almost,
society of this movie
But
has
they're not
accepted
really
it and likes the
celebrity.
content.
Yeah,
What
but
do you mean they're not celebrities? It's the number one TV show
No,
in
but
the
I mean,
world
like,
of the movie.
It's not really, they don't really play that up. To me, it's almost just kind of how like the insanity of like the fact that people just accept it. I think that's it. Like, you know, if they don't really sell it, it's just like, what do you mean? Why do we do this? That's just the thing. Just the idea that like people would be so like people.
So is
people
Daniel
would be
Minahan
so-
trying to say there's things in our society that are banal and below us that we're just accepting for no good reason other than celebrities do them?
There is a point, I will admit, you can kind of just put something on reality TV and it could be damn near people murdering each other, and we'll just kind of watch and go, wow, that's crazy. Whoa, look at that.
We'll take out our cell phones and record it
it's
instead of helping the person.
Well, not even that. It's just there really is the sense of that's just the TV show, I guess. Also, I think it is a pretty uniquely American concept, the idea of people just driving around shooting each other with guns in a city. It's very like the scene with the young girl. She's like going through. She's like, "This is my AR. This is my shotgun. This is my pistol," and she's going through all of her stuff. It's really interesting. This big. There definitely is a big pro. I don't know if they say pro Second Amendment. People are gun owners in this movie.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that, which is interesting. But no, it's
So
almost
they need
me
to
like,
sell DVDs of this at the NRA conventions?
something. But I just think I think there was something missing, like you said, to really tie in. I think there's the satirical angle of, wow, reality TV is crazy. But yeah, it kind of felt like there was never that many. It felt like they had 4 times they tried to do the scene where it's like, this is where we kind of make the point. And then they just don't make a point and the scene ends. Like every single time, like I think the only point they made in a scene was in the cut alternate ending where the 2 contestants decide they're not going to kill each other, so the mob kills them instead.
See, but that's, I think,
there
the
must be
ultimate-
blood. Like that's basically the. But that was cut from
But
the film.
that's the ultimate social commentary.
Yeah.
Right there, to me, that's that even like nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing is sacred in this world of celebrity-driven reality TV, which I think was a very not foreboding, but an omen. A foreshadowing is the word I was looking for. Foreshadowing social media. Okay, in which our society demands blood so much that even for love, after I've seen previous loved ones die, we won't let you escape. And if the contenders we have chosen to be our champions in the rink won't do it, then we will actually crawl out of the stands and go over the fence into the gladiators arena and do their job for them because our society demands blood. I mean, this was, I think this was deep.
See,
I really think this was a deep film, completely wrapped in what some literature majors would call Da Vinci Code fluff. You know what I'm saying?
See, I would push back on it being deep. I think to me it really felt like we got a funny premise. We can do some funny scenes. Like you said, the scene with the 18-year-old girl in the car with the teenage girl. She's in the car with her parents. They're giving him like a pep talk to go kill the old guy. Come on, he's an old, he's pathetic old man. You can kill him, it'll be easy. Like there's scenes like that they did that was funny. The setup with the nurse character going to the hospital and injecting the poison. By the way, that's how the cokehead guy dies. He does cocaine once, but he's done the movie for like 9 minutes, and one of the scenes is him doing cocaine, so he's the cokehead guy. But there was a lot of stuff like that where I think they just kind of wanted to do funny stuff, like the pregnant woman shooting people. It really did feel like they had 5 or 6. Wouldn't this be kind of funny? Like a reality show, people kill each other, and then how do you make a movie? I guess a good way to describe it, I think in Frasier, it wasn't Frasier, Niles says this, Niles Crane, when he's trying to pretend he's seen a play he never says, so immediately he just goes to, I thought it had third act problems, because I think you can describe almost everything as having third act problems, but yeah, the end of this movie felt like they were just like, okay, so we have the premise, but how does it end? Like, what's the ending? Yeah. And then it's like Dawn gives
I thought the
birth,
ending worked.
and then she teams up and they go on the run, and then they go on the run and they do the fake out. They go to the football field, they're gonna kill each other. Fake out, no. They steal the cameras. Then they go to the movie theater and they're in the movie theater. Yeah. And then in the theatrical cut, all of a sudden they cut away. We lose our main characters. They do the dramatic reenactment that goes on for a few minutes. I will admit, I do love just it feels kind of like, wouldn't it be funny if our 2 leads give their big dramatic speech, but it's reenactors giving it instead? I guess, but that's what everything felt like.
I can't remember the director. I don't think it was Michael Mann, but there was a director that was really interesting, and I'm in line with his thinking. He said that before he allows anybody to see a picture cut of his films, he sits in a 35 millimeter theater and he watches a print of the movie. And before he pulls picture lock on it, he forces himself to watch his own movie in a theater with just him and his cinematographer. Him and his editor. And he lets himself get bored. He watches the movie, and if he ever catches himself getting bored, he makes cuts. And he says, okay, I got bored here. In this film, I can't think of a time I got bored, except for maybe during some of the character development of Dawn and the secretly gay guy who ended up not being gay but lost his testicles, who's your favorite tragic character. I never really got bored, so I didn't encounter that problem in the film that you mentioned. So before we wrap up, I want to ask you one question. Can we talk about the movie poster?
Yeah, the poster is really bizarre because, like, I think you've held up what the tape looks like.
Yeah.
That's what most of the home releases. I think you can find a home release using the the theatrical poster is like the color schemes all wrong. the even the font, like if you hold the box, the Series 7 font, it's like this Real TV kind of this Real TV, like the font is.
This worked. I love the VHS cover. That works.
When you look at the cover, they do those weird kind of thick bubbly letters with the white. It was really bizarre. I don't know why they did that.
Well, and then also, it was a little bit hard to read when I was first looking at the thumbnail of this, and the thumbnail experience on eBay and the thumbnail experience on Amazon while you're trying to buy movie posters is pretty similar to the thumbnail experience you get in a movie theater when you're walking down, with your wife or your kids or your girlfriend or whatever. And as you're exiting the theater, you're seeing all the other movies that are coming soon. You think, oh, honey, we should watch that one. Oh, we should watch that one. Long before YouTube existed with thumbnails, movie posters existed as the thumbnail experience. And this poster behind me, look at this thing. I mean, it's only down here. it even has the name of the movie, Series 7, The Contenders, and it's really hard to read. This is actually really hard to read from far away. It's like one of those optical illusions, you know?
It's also not necessarily a final. You can find other versions that had of that poster. It is
but that was
because,
supposedly the 27 by 41 movie poster print that was hanging up in theaters.
Well, no, I just mean that there's a slightly different version that has under where it says Series 7, there's the faces of the characters, and it says real people in real danger. I think that was one international. Yeah, but anyway, weird because when it came to home release, which I think it was a home release like months later, it got the different cover. I think in general, too, one of the movies that suffers from the issue, I think it would have been a bigger movie. Maybe, honestly, if it was just called The Contenders, because it's one of those hyphenated films. It's not as bad as Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, or anything like that. But Series 7, The Contenders, isn't exactly something that... it's not a title I think people are going to remember. That's one of the... I feel like that is such an easy movie title to forget.
So is it TLDW? Is it worth the money? Or is it you gotta go watch it?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I would say if this doesn't sound like, if you're not super into the premise, if you sound fun, go check it out.
Okay, cool. I say this is you gotta go watch it. I think Series 7, The Contenders, you gotta go watch. And by go watch, I mean get the VHS. Because the VHS experience was fun.
Get the DVD.
Or no, the DVD
has the alternate ending, which I think this is one of those movies. Just last thing I'll say, I really do feel like I've read the description of the alternate ending multiple times. I'll have to buy a DVD and track it down. You literally can't find this scene on the internet. But as I've heard it described, that's definitely the more effective way to end the film. Is to show us the characters. Can we see the actors that have been in the movie the whole time?
Yeah.
I think that is better. So if you are going to pick it up, I can't imagine. I think both versions are out of print, so you're just buying them used somewhere anyway. I don't think they made one of these in a while. So if you are going to pick it up, grab the DVD release. A couple other deleted scenes too, but the big one's alternate ending.
All right. So you guys got to check it out. Series 7, The Contenders. Get the DVD. We got some cool reviews coming up. We're going to be doing Creatures from the Black Lagoon in 3D, the original King Kong, and some forgotten formats, possibly Selectavision if I can get a hold of one, and good old laser discs from the 90s. So, Series 7, The Contenders, got to go watch it.